Bitter criticism. Reading something, I don't know what. Maybe Pepe Escobar Telegram. Pepe Escobar Telegram. Look, just 1 second. I'm trafficking Milu here. Let's read Pepe Escobar with. Pepe Escobar has 92 updates. Zelensky is the new Pope. Donald Trump. I didn't got that, but let's read some article from Pepe Escobar Telegram. There's so many podcasts on YouTube. And here we have unz.com article. What this says, I don't know. Let's try to read this. This is, it calls the UNZ review. Slava Kazaria by Thomas. What races are Ukrainians, from tall timbers to the Pontic steppe? About race, Ukrainians. No, I don't care. Next, previous one. I'm going to try to read the previous one. What's the Ukrainian race? They are Russian, of course. They are white. Who knows? No, they are like blonde. Yeah, they are blonde. Just blonde. This is more interesting. This is Global South that CEO. North Korean soldiers help liberate Kursk. So, some 2 days ago, the Russian forces they admitted they have received force troops from North Korea. This one, April 26, maybe yesterday, the North Koreans in Kursk. I feel a little stunned. We saw the rumors, but today we got the news. This may be a little romantic, but I believe it. Subtitle: Not a single North Korean violated his oath. How our allies help us liberate Kursk. Pyongyang's troops show discipline, coordination, and disregard for death, contributing greatly to the defeat of Ukrainian invaders. By Alexander Cox, a Russian war reported, quote, not a single North Korean violated his oath, end quote. How our allies helped us liberate Kursk. Photo, sapper of 92nd Engineer Regiment of the Russian Armed Forces inspects an area for mines and explosive devices amid Russia's military operation in Ukraine, in Kursk region, Russia. Until this moment, Russia had neither confirmed nor denied the presence of DPRK North Korean troops on the front line, but I guess this is old news because I read something from Russia Today that they are confirmed. They confirmed the North Korean support. North Korean troops on the front line. Strictly speaking, we were not obligated to notify anyone about it. This is a matter of bilateral relations and agreements. Meanwhile, North Korean units gradually began to arrive in Russia during the Kursk campaign. Yeah, definitely. So Ukraine is backed by the whole NATO. At first, they underwent training at military ranges, familiarizing themselves with modern combat tactics. mastering drone operation skills, and adapting to field realities. Then the quote unquote combat buddies, as our military jokingly and covertly call them, were transferred to the Kursk region. They live in field conditions to avoid attracting attention. Initially, they held the third line of defense, then the second, and eventually they were tested in fortifications and finally in assaults. Korean soldiers distinguish themselves by their coordination, discipline, a fatalist disregard for that, and remarkable endurance. I believe so. And here I am with my North Korean soldier. No, but Milu is very intelligent, and very. He's like a soldier. This I have seen a lot of white dogs like this terrier or something, mixed terrier. They all are very protective. I definitely recommend you this kind of dog. Coordination, discipline, a fatalist disregard for that, and remarkable endurance. Understandably so. They were mostly young, strong, well-built men. And there's a show here. If you don't know Jaivas or Congreso, there are two folk bands. They're playing right now. It's kind of too ethnic to me, but who knows? And I'm too tired. Understandably so. They were mostly young, strong, well-built men, decently trained back home, particularly the units from the Special Operations Forces. They made a significant contribution to the liberation of the Koronevsky district, fought in battles near Staraya and Novaya Soroshina, and broke through to Kurilovka. They had a strict rule never to be captured alive and never to surrender voluntarily. Yeah. Who knows, who knows? I don't know what to say about that. I will read it again. They had a strict rule never to be captured alive and never to surrender voluntarily. I'm not sure about it because, understand, maybe this is a bad strategy. You can have another one like never give information or something, understand? Even under torture, who knows? I guess this could be not good because if they die, they will be not useful nevertheless, Incidentally, the enemy tried to persuade them to do just that by dropping counterfeit DPRK banknotes bearing inscription in Korean that read surrender, Kim Jong-un has driven you to death and starved your families. Place a yellow flag before you. Raise your hands and loudly shout freedom. They slowly walked toward the Ukrainian soldiers and followed their instructions, end quote. Not a single Korean soldier violated his oath or ally commitments. For Pyongyang, it was crucial to gain experience in modern warfare, study the tactics and technologies of a potential enemy, the collective West, and acquire knowledge that had been inaccessible due to sanctions. These objectives were achieved, moreover, under the framework of a comprehensive bilateral agreement. the Koreans made a substantial contribution to the defeat of the Ukrainian forces on our soil. The arrival allowed us to maintain pressure on other sections of the front, continue the offensive in the Donbass, and inflict enormous damage on the invasion force, which consisted of 95 battalions. The invasion force, which means Ukraine, full of West mercenaries. This text was originally published in Russian on Alexander Kotsk's Telegram channel and translated by Russia Today team. Pepe Escobar Telegram. There's another article from globalsouth.co. Says China, Hong Kong, and the art of blinking. April 25, 2025 in China. There's a tiger over there. Is Pepe Escobar a tiger? Captain Chaos definitely does not have the cards which, as even South Pacific penguins know, are all made in China by Pepe Escobar at the Strategic Culture Foundation. Shanghai and Hong Kong. So predictably, Captain Chaos did blink first. As much as he and his sprawling media circus could not possibly admit it. It all started with quote-unquote tariff exceptions from smartphones and computers to auto parts on products imported from China. Then it veered towards carefully manicured leaks implying tariffs, quote-unquote, could be reduced to a range between 20% and 65%, and finally a terse admission that if there's no deal, a quote-unquote tariff number will be unilaterally set. China's Ministry of Commerce was unforgiving, quote, trying to trade away others' interests for temporary gains is like bargaining with a tiger for its skin. It will only backfire. Definitely. And it got fiercer. The ministry was adamant that any Trump 2.0 claims of any progress on bilateral negotiations have quote-unquote no factual basis, de facto depicting the US president as a purveyor or fake news. Tigers burning bright. The image does not recall poetry superstar William Blake, but Mao's legendary depiction of the US empire as a quote-unquote paper tiger. A flashback that struck me over and over again last week in Shanghai. If the US empire was a paper tiger already in the 1960s, the Chinese are, imagine now. And the pain will increase, not only for the paper tiger and any dodgy deals made by foreign vassals, pussycat governments, and the expense of Chinese interests simply will be not tolerated by Beijing. Last week in Shanghai, I was reminded over and over again by academics and business people that the weaponized Trump tariffs TTT, I don't know what TZ means, but anyway, goes way beyond China. It is a desperate offense ordered by the US ruling classes against a peer competitor that scares the hell out of them. The best Chinese analytical minds know exactly what's going on in Washington. Take for instance this easy original or this essay originally published by the influential Cultural Horizon magazine, breaking down the quote unquote triangular power structure of Trump 2.0. We have all power Trump forming a quote unquote super establishment, Silicon Valley money in politics, represented by Elon Musk, and the new right-wing elite represented by VP JD Vance. End result, quote unquote government system that is almost parallel to the federal government. European chihuahuas caught in the crossfire of Trump 2.0 are simply incapable of such synthetic and precise conceptualization. Paper tiger meets fiery dragon. Maybe now I understand what some charge I saw. It was not an eagle, but maybe a paper tiger. What a deep dive in Shanghai has revealed is that China has been handed over a rare early opportunity by Trump 2.0 to consolidate its strategic initiatives, solidifying the role of leader of the global south, global majority, at the same time carefully managing the risk of a new Cold War. Call it a Sun Tzu move that may paralyze the empire in its tracks. Professor Shang Weiwei, with whom I had the pleasure of sharing a seminar in Shanghai on the Russia-China strategic partnership, will agree. I want to see that podcast, that video. I always listen to seminars like podcasts. China is on the move across the spectrum. Chinese Premier Li Qiang sent a letter to Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishibe urging a joint drive right now to counteract the tariff dementia. President Xi's top message in his Southeast Asia tour last week was to stand up against quote-unquote unilateral bullying. She deftly moved between Malaysia, current rotating chair of ASEAN, always avoiding taking sides, and Vietnam, with its quote-unquote bamboo diplomacy, always hedging between US and China. She told Malaysia's Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim directly, quote, "We must safeguard the bright prospects of our Asian family." Translation: let's create an exclusive sphere of influence close to the, quote, community of shared destiny, end quote. But that does not include outside powers such as the US. In parallel, there has been a strong debate from Shanghai to Hong Kong that transcends the role of China as the world's factory. What matters now is how to redirect some of China's astonishing manufacturing capacity towards the domestic market. Of course, there are problems such as the lack of purchasing power among scores of Chinese domestic consumers, even as the bulk of national China income is direct to fixed assets investments. A great deal of China's rural elderly population survives on a monthly pension of roughly $30 a month, and the hourly rate for the gig economy has stagnated at around $4. Meanwhile, in several high-tech fronts, China just built the fastest high-speed train on the planet, 400 kilometers hours, soon to run between Beijing and Shanghai. China is already receiving orders from the C919 commercial wide-bodied airliner, and China has come up with the world's first thorium-powered nuclear reactor. Translation: unlimited, cheap, and clean energy is at hand. Subtitle: The Mafia Way of Doing Business. Hong Kong is a very special case. HSBC executives, for instance, worry about a possible decoupling between US and China, and wonder whether Hong Kong may survive without US trade. Yes, it can. The US is Hong Kong's third largest trade partner. Yet Hong Kong's export and import to the US are only 6.5% and 4% respectively of its total global exports and imports, including transshipment of goods back and forth from the mainland. HK is a world-class logistics hub and free port, so as long as Trump 2.0 does not forbid trade with Hong Kong, well, anything can happen. Imports should not be affected anyway. Most of what HK exports, electronics, luxury goods, clothes, toys, can easily find alternative markets in Southeast Asia, West Asia, and Europe. But I'm done. It's been interesting. Maybe I will read it later sometime. It's hard to find the Alexander Dugin article. Maybe I will never read my forbidden articles.